That's what's going on, guys. Spessy here, joined by the Quivellous, the Quintastic, Quill, and Lance. Hi, Quill. How are you, mate?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure about those ones, but I guess I'll give it to you based on our position last night. Kind of like, anything's going to be more clever at this point, right?
Yeah, I didn't practice. I've got to be honest, the hangover has hit me in full force. I'm not feeling great. I've had 4 packets of crisps. I've had a sandwich. I've had a pasty. Do you know what a pasty is, Quill?
No. Explain it to me.
Nah, I want you to guess. So I had a pasty with some ketchup.
Kind of like a dumpling or something like that. Some
No, not really.
Like
it's it's like a steak bake, right? It's like a pastry, but instead of steak, it's like you've got steak potatoes, some carrots, some peas. So like the main kind of pasties from Cornwall, which is like the most southern part of England. It's a Cornish pasty. You should have one, man. They're good. Would recommend.
Yeah, I mean, I've recently, not right now, but like these frozen pierogies they have at our store, I was really into for a bit. I mean, I'm down to try new things every once in a while, but sometimes it can be a little hard to find that type of stuff here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so obviously we're not too far away from the next game, which is going to be Pajabol versus Bart, Poland versus Poland, Legacy versus TLG. Now, of course, if Bart takes it, it's going to be an all-Legacy final, Tailbot against his teammate. And I think that'll be our first time. Obviously, Tailbot, having been a bit of a lone wolf in days gone by, now he's got a teammate. If his teammate gets to the final, I'm sure I'll be happy, but that could also be bad news because maybe some of Tailbot's strategies for this tournament could be used against him, seeing as they're very, very similar lineups. The big difference being a Kelly deck. But in the meantime, Pajabol, the world champ, has got other things to say. And what an interesting lineup Paya has brought, because no Nilfgaard in his lineup. Instead, going for that Skellige and Scoia'tael. Normally the ones that you would sort of see people picking either Nature's Gift or Blaze. Paya's just gone for both. What do you think about the lack of Nilfgaard, Quill?
So lots of talks with Paya, for quite a while. I used to be quite the Nilfgaard fan, but ever since Ball kind of gained prominence in Nilfgaard, I know he's been like less enthused about Nilfgaard as a whole. Very much have seen that whole like draw issue, and we saw it in the series with Gravish and Paya. The Gravish missing out on his ball, and I know that's something that Paya definitely hates about Nilfgaard right now. Yeah. And it's kind of like turned me off the faction too for like before that Ball prominence. I was very much into like the Shoop kind of like control Nilfgaard decks. I thought those were just a lot of fun to play. Had like a lot of flexibility, and they were just like it's like a cool control value deck. But the fact that like Ball is like the main playable thing is a little bit unfortunate.
Yeah, if you look at like cards like Iced and Ball with how good they are, they're so important. They're also very susceptible to being bled. And if you look, yesterday we saw Gravesh taking like the mulligans on Ball, taking the mulligans on Iced and Harold for this round 2 bleed, and then didn't draw into them. And I do think like having cards that are so powerful, like Masquerade Ball, like Iced, can just like increase the RNG quite significantly in these games, because we saw Gravesh forced to mulligan these cards. Like that seemed like the best line for him to win to resist the bleed. And then having to just draw into them on one of these 5 draws you get in round 3. Either you do or you don't, and it really would have made the difference a lot in the series yesterday that we watched. Masquerade Ball, have to respect not bringing it from Paya. As you say, like, as good as it is, it does force you into that very rigid game plan. And the mirror matchups are just a bit of a disaster. We've seen the only real way you can have a lot of agency in that mirror matchup is to try and win round 1 and bleed round 2. But we saw twice yesterday the player trying to bleed in round 2 and the Nilfgaard mirrors just actually ending up losing the round and getting punished for it. So the alternative is just going for that long round 3, which just feels like a big fiesta. So I like that he's not brought it, to be honest.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, it kind of like switches up what your opponent's looking to do, right? And the Tailbot lineup and Bart lineups are meant to be a little bit stronger into that Nilfgaard. So it's Paya making kind of a good call lineup wise to not bring it, and then just kind of eliminate that. I feel like you have a little bit of anxiety playing Nilfgaard, right? Like it's just so. I don't know. Yeah. There's so many things that can go wrong, it feels like, because not only do you need to draw the ball, you need the aristocrats to also proc this ball, which can be dicey with some hands too. Like you're relying on a lot of things to kind of go right, and a lot of things that feel like they're out of your control, like Joachim RNG and such, and
Yeah, it would be if we could take a look at some of the decks here, that could be a real touch. Because also something that I wanted to have a look at is what we think the most likely bans are going to be for this one. So Paya's lists here, as we mentioned, he's got Blaze of Glory, Nature's Gift. Everyone I think has got Syndicate. Everyone's got Monsters, and pretty much everyone's got Nilfgaard. Paya just being that exception. I think let's just take a look first of all at the Line Pockets deck, Quill. Is there anything that you really notice about this Line Pockets deck compared to maybe some of the other ones?
I mean, not everybody's running like Paydays these days. I think Paydays are really, really nice 5 provision crime that I feel like a lot of the decks, kind of are, they get kind of incentivized to cut, a little bit more of that range. So I really like the Payday in here as well as the Kurt. I know after that matchup he had with Shaggy in the qualifiers, he really started to come around to the whole Kurt. Just the ability to put bounty on the board, and then tunnel drill becomes even more threatening. So I do really like the Kurt as well, and then it makes more sense to run a card like Payday to have another nice flexible option to fulfill bounties as well. So
yeah, it is a Siggy 8 deck, so Siggy Reuven just getting 8 profit. Obviously, you would prefer to have that Blind Eye tag or the Firestorm, but there's no great way of doing it. You would have to sacrifice this Payday maybe for an Eavesdrop. And we mentioned yesterday, what often happens with Siggy anyways, you already have a coin in the bank, or you go for your Siggy and then you play your Tunnel Drill. Siggy's just such a good card, though, because a lot of these high-end cards you have are spenders. So maybe in most of the decks we would see, instead of Siggy, we've seen a lot of Horson, who is just another spender. And there can be situations where you've got this Philippa and just no coins, whereas Siggy's just going to give you those coins nice and early, so you can drill as and when you want. And it's also got the Intimidate engine on him as well, so he is a fantastic card. I would say that this is the best way to play Syndicate on ladder. However, the lack of Heat Wave is very brave, because that is going to be a card that can help, particularly against Masquerade Ball. Not sure what deck Paj actually banned of Gravesh's yesterday. Do you remember?
It was I believe both of them banned the Arrakis lists, so neither of them wanted to kind of deal with that Curse Swarm. But I mean, I can see, potentially getting rid of Heatwave. You're often taking the line pockets on red, and you get that Nilfgaard matchup, and if you're winning on even, you can just bleed that ball out, and then go for other things. I do also like the Sir Skewer Tooth in this deck. Some of the decks don't run the Skewer Tooth as well, which immune can be really, really nice, and that extra Crown Splitter tag as well. We've seen a couple drills that were a little bit lackluster and hard to keep the Crown Splitter pockets. So you have an immune one that also just grows bigger and bigger. So do like the Sir Skewer Tooth in this list as well too.
Yeah, Skewer Tooth particularly good in those situations where you're looking to bleed into round 2 against your decks like Skelliger and Nilfgaard as well, where having those uninteractive points can really make the difference. Moving on to the Rekaswarm deck, no Uridan, but instead going for the Curse of Corruption. We've seen some people cutting Triss, Paj just deciding to get rid of this Uridan. Going to be much better into SK without the Uridan, that is for certain. And also, very, very relevant, into Keltulis, this Curse of Corruption could make a real difference as you're able to get through the defender. But there is no movement tech in Paj's Arrakiswarm deck, so Keltulis could be a tempting ban, because Skellige, another one of his decks, can really struggle against Kelly. I would say Kelly, generally speaking, should be favoured against Line Pockets, although that matchup can be quite dependent on the opening hands of both players. So already, with the lack of movement in this Rekaswarm list, I would maybe be saying Paj might be tempted to ban Bart's Keltulis.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I mean, we also see him having the Nature's Gift here, and typically, what Keltulis kind of does is it eats these Devotion non-Tall Punish decks alive in a lot of cases, just being able to get its abuse through so efficiently, and have those leader charges to stop its engines from being dealt with. So definitely a very threatening deck for Nature's Gift as well. So I also agree that Kelly could be a very good ban as well, or for in terms of Paya here. So.
Mm-hmm. And his Blaze of Glory deck, the main sort of difference in these decks is usually in around the 10 provision mark. He's gone for a Totem and a Morkvarg. So Of course, in a mirror matchup, you would probably rather have a Hjalmar or a Turgvi rather than this Morkvarg. But Morkvarg, generally speaking, is going to be a little bit better across the field. And finally, Nature's Gift, pretty much exactly the deck that you usually see. As mentioned, like the one consideration is usually poorly to a lock in Kiran. But poorly, again, that little bit of movement, if Kelly does remain unbanned, could be a decent little touch. If we take a look at Bart's decks next, Bart has a very similar lineup to Tailbot. However, there is a key difference from Tailbot's, which is this Monsters deck. So maybe that's a nice place for us to start. Having just watched Tailbot play, his Line Pockets deck is exactly the same, I do believe, with the Horse and the Tavern Brawl. The lack of Siggy being the key difference compared to Payabol's. But the Keltalis deck, the Ice Troll catches my eye, Quill, instantly.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, so we've seen him play Ice Troll before in the past. I mean, Keltalis has been around for quite a while, so, it has some chances to slot in some occasional, kind of techie cards like that. But yeah, I mean, you play very few units, so like Ice Troll in a lot of cases could be that potential 1 point per turn engine. Now, I mean, why you'd play it over just another Wild Hunt Hound, I'm not necessarily sure. I mean, Wild Hunt Hound is often pretty nice to get. You're pretty much good to go to get that dominance in that 1 point per turn engine in this list. So, yeah, Ice Troll, a little bit of an interesting one of bronze here in this list, and overall, everything else looks, I'd say, for the most part, standard for what you would see from Keltalis.
Yeah, the Ice Troll just got buff recently, and it is a card that caught my eye. I was like, Ice Troll and Keltalis. But I did find, like, a lot of the time I would rather have the Hound. However, against certain decks that are going to go Tool, like the Ice Troll could be pretty clutch. I found having two Ice Trolls was too much, because then they're sort of competing. They sort of don't interact well with each other. And also, if you've got Hounds, you want to put your Hounds down and then your Ice Troll. So it kind of makes sense that he's just gone for one of each. Of course, the Ice Troll does have like one higher base power, but I am also surprised that he's not gone for the double Hound, but definitely looking forward to it. Also, the Keltalis deck with the double Forktail, which would strongly suggest that Bart has no intention of banning the Araka Swarm of Pajabol. Also, looking at the fact he's got this imprisonment set up, and the Tavern Brawl, as well as Horson in his Line Pockets deck. Line Pockets, I would also imagine, not a deck he's going to ban, which means that I would assume it's going to be Blaze of Glory or Nature's Gift. What would you think he's going to end up going for out of those two? Or do you think it could be something different?
So what Bart's going to ban here? I mean, yeah, I definitely don't think he bans the Line Pockets, kind of like what you said. I mean, the Horson's meant to be pretty decent into that here. Yeah, Nature's Gift could be a little bit of obviously a struggle for this Nilfgaard and this Blaze of Glory, and who better to kind of understand the potential threat of the Nature's Gift than Bart, who's been very much of a fan of this deck, probably for the past year and a half, just kind of since the Symbiosis started to get really released. So yeah, he might respect the Nature's Gift, I think.
That would be a really interesting ban if that does happen. I could see it. Blaze of Glory could be the other one as well. I think that jumps out mainly just because his Line Pockets has the Horson, which obviously is not going to be great into SK, and also his Morkvarg in Blaze could tempt to win. However, banning Blaze of Glory when you're playing a Keltalis lineup seems a little bit sus, because of course Kelly has a very, very good matchup into Skellige. So looking forward to seeing exactly what the bans are going to be on this one, and certainly looking forward to seeing these guys go face to face. Obviously, Bart made this open by overcoming Dark Kevin Spivey. It was a real close run thing, and then of course yesterday Bart knocking out Tailbot. Paj, the world champ, looking to book his place in the final, and the finalist being Tailbot as well. Whoever gets through, it's going to be a really, really interesting one. Sort of the Team Legacy Civil War in the final, which would be a really impressive achievement, or that Paya versus Tailbot, who's sort of Tailbot, the traditional big dog, and Pajabol, the man that's really the favourite in any tournament he goes into now. I think it would be fair to say.
Well, and like what a way to kind of like trying to bring, legacy more into prominence, right? Like they started really kind of picking up steam around the end of that season 2, right? So they were like pretty new into the game, and then they, Tailbot joined, getting ready to prep for Masters, and a lot of them, players that still had, a lot to prove. We still had some, obviously open participants in the past. We had Danarai and Andy, so definitely some names there to watch out for. And so Legacy really looking for something to prove right now, and I think they're kind of doing that so far going into this season 3. So we'll see what this outcomes here. Again, it would be big for them to get obviously a guaranteed Legacy win through in the final, but Paya the Dragon Slayer might have something to say about it.
Another thing, like just to talk about this imprisonment deck, obviously the leader is the thing that stands out. You get one less provision. It's going to be a lot better into Syndicate for sure, because you can lock Cleaver, you can lock a Sea Jackal, and then they're really going to be forced to spend a lot of the time by going Tool, which of course plays into your Invo and your poisons. But also this Coated Weapons is a card that I really want to shout out a little bit here, because we actually saw Tailbot use this Coated Weapons in the mirror matchup with Cams, and what ended up happening was Cam's his round 3 hand was just completely clogged with the Viper Witcher from the location, also the location clogging itself, as well as the Coated Weapons. It just turned into quite an incredible play, like that tiny little bit of clog. I feel like Tailbot has found that out quite well. We saw when he qualified for this Open his double Madoc deck with a little bit of clog, with Cynthia being something. So really love to see like this tiny little bit of clog. Often you can go all in with Colgrim, but these guys showing that actually a little bit of clog does really go a long way.
Well, it's not only just the clog, right? You're not like, you can also use it, in a Skellige matchup. You can look to, if your graveyard is set up for that Herald play, you can just choose not to invo it. You can Coated Weapons the Herald and then Cantarella it out that way, instead of having to put it in your own deck through Joachim. Possibly if you have other, high end golds that you would rather find through Joachim, you're not kind of like having to pull the Herald that way, and it's just that 5 damage is really efficient, so that maybe you could save the invo for like a Uta or something else later on if you have a final say. So I think the Coated Weapons definitely is a very cheeky card with like the existence of Cantarella in these decks now.
So let's go for predictions. I'm gonna predict Bart is gonna ban. I could be wrong. I'm gonna go for SK, despite the fact he's playing Kelly, and I think Pajabol will ban the Keltalis.
Yeah, I think it's pretty set on Paya banning the Keltalis, and you could say that maybe he was just going to ban the SK because he's expecting his Keltalis to get banned. That's also a way you can make your bans too. If like it's very likely that they're going to ban one of your lists, you can basically erase that from your potential lineup, right? Like the good matchups that it would have. So, I mean, I could possibly see a skip, but I'm also maybe leaning towards a potential gift ban too. But also, not only would he be more respective of the power of gift, but also maybe he just knows how to play around it more, as he has played a lot of gift games. So, it could kind of go either way in that sense. So, but my money's maybe a little bit more on gift. I don't know. Just to have a little bit of a different prediction there.
I've got to be honest as well. This shirt I'm wearing is a complete disaster, mate. It is the worst shirt that I've ever seen in my whole life. I was looking around my wardrobe. I was like, what should I flip and wear today? And I found this monstrosity of a shirt. I was supposed to wear it for the Wild Hunt because it was supposed to be like the 80s theme or whatever. But then I put it on and like it just looks so bad on the camera. So now I've had to put a black jumper over the top. Like the camera just like makes it look like a complete disaster. Maybe it's fine for the moment, but yeah, it's not gone to plan. I'm also Quill, nursing quite the hangover. I have tried to drink, and every time my body just says no. Last night was quite the experience, I have to say, trying to cast while drunk.
It's a lot of fun though, right? Like, I mean, I guess I have maybe a little more drunk casting experience. I mean, it's kind of my my forte at this point, for good or bad. I don't know. I don't know if that's something to be proud of. That falling out of my chair, almost destroying my green screen. Probably. I mean, maybe I could just put that on my Tinder profile, like the most talented drunk caster. So to get a little bit of flair to it, huh?
And yeah, I'm also just really looking forward to finding out the leaks as well. Like 49 minutes of Slammer and Berza. It's a long time to be talking about stuff, so you would hope that there's a lot of juice in there. We might get some journey mentions, but I think what I'm really looking forward to is finding out about some NR buffs, maybe even some draft mode. Maybe they might even mention faction ambassadors. Is it time? They've hinted towards it. Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, I know you've been campaigning super hard, so maybe they could talk about it. I like kind of like you said though. I would like to expand upon like the draft. I feel like it could be. I feel like it could be pretty good, right? Like I feel like if you just add more to it, but then again, do they have the resources and the time to add more to it? Would you rather have them go and balance more things, like said alchemist, make sure that missing your balls aren't so taxing. So. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of hard to say.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like draft mode, I actually really enjoyed it when it first came out. I remember I was reading the article about what they were doing with draft mode. I was on the bus home and I was like, damn, this actually sounds really cool. I was never a big fan of Arena, but when I was playing draft, I was like, yeah, this is actually really fun. Like I had a few weeks where I played some like co-op draft modes with people and it was really good. And I've not touched it since. So I would really just like them to see, they said they were going to do some draft changes every month. I don't think we've actually had that for a while. I know they introduced like a triple Madoc package that's kind of busted. There's obviously no incentive at the moment to not redraft 100 times. And there's also no like payoff for doing well in it. So I'd really love to see it. Also, friendly matches for seasonal modes. That would be great. Sign me right up for that. I would get right involved with seasonal modes if you could play against friends.
You're just gonna farm dandelion clips. I gotcha.
Exactly right. But you could do some Quill and Cup seasonal mode events and stuff like that. It could be a lot of fun.
Okay, can I? I guess I could do a little bit of a spoiler here for Quill and Cup. You want to hear it?
Oh, mate, there's nothing I want to hear more.
All right, so for Quill and Cup, I mentioned this as a little bit of a thing I want to do. I wanted to start doing theme months, right?
Oh,
and I don't want what I don't like is that they do all these complicated themes in these tournaments, right? Where like the players are disincentivized to play. I want to reward the players more so for kind of giving me their time and their games to cast, right? Which is why I make it like a really easy for them to still just jam ladder and just quick slot into it, right? So I don't know. I'll maybe work with Max on some kind of like a little bit of edit to it, but Quill and Cup, Flame in Cup. It'll be a month where the casters go in on every single play and they just flame the crap out of the players. No nuance, no nothing. Just like straight, like you're just terrible. You're the worst if you make a misplay.
Mate, I think you need to get Gravesh involved in that.
Yep. Casters, I will be asking, ladies and gentlemen, Gravish, Wasubi, Bowman.
Yeah.
Just the elite of the flamers kind of coming in here. And it is gonna be a wonderful time as we just tear people apart. So
now I'm a little bit concerned because I have signed up prematurely. Last night I was, putting a little word in and go, oh mate, can I get in? Can I get in? So I'm going to be getting absolutely framed by butt play, as Kate points out. Butt play is going to hopefully not be casting when I'm playing. I still have a pretty impressive record of never winning a series in the Quillen Cup.
Yeah. I mean, so with Green Knight taking a little bit of a heel off taking a little bit off the pedal, I think he could be pretty good in his flame too. So I mean, we're gonna switch it up here and just like. I know it's not like a big themed thing, but like I feel like it's just a fun little thing you can do, right? To make it a little bit more interesting.
All right, cool. I've got a question for you. If you could rework one card, like if there's like a realistic rework, okay, and what are you doing to it?
Delete it.
Come on. We need some to be productive here, mate.
Okay.
You can't just leave the location with 3 options.
So we move it up. You upgrade the provisions of Alchemist, right? Like you push it up a bit higher to 10 provisions. Now hear me out. After 4 turns, you draw a card.
Okay. That sounds familiar.
I think it'd be a little less toxic.
Yeah. the location suddenly has got some really good value in there.
Suddenly, yes, it was absolutely trash before this little idea for where you were. No, but I'd love to see reworks on Siri Dash and Alchemist the most.
Yeah.
Like it's hard to choose between the two. I dislike the cards so much at the moment that I couldn't tell you which I'd choose. Maybe well, we already have like deck building cards, right? Like I kind of just remember right away the old Siri Dash from beta, but that one was like mulliganing into the deck, and we don't really have like those features. But maybe you could do something along like the old Siri Dash lines.
No, I'm definitely glad to see that they have changed Siri a little bit in dealing with Carapace not being able to buffer, but I mean, it hasn't really made any impact at all.
It hasn't.
Like, I think they just need to be honest with themselves and delete the card. Card advantage in Gwent is just way too good.
Well, they've kind of
consistently viable option. Like having it as a meme card that you could crack out against some friends, calm, no worries. But the fact that it's been competitive for so long just has to go blood.
Well, see, here's the thing with the card though, right? Like they've tweaked it before. They tweaked the timer, right? So it was 5 turns, right, in the past for a little bit. Like it was really, really annoying. There was immune Aridin running around, able to completely immune it and just give card advantage guaranteed. So then they made it 5 turns and then disappeared. So it's not like you can just change the timer and tweak the effect of the card a little bit. Tweaking provisions, I don't think is going to really like do it either. It's still, just the ability itself is just extremely toxic and just needs to change. Like completely.
Yeah, you can't just give it the Masquerade Ball treatment where you just add a provision every single patch, right? It's just at some point you just have to get rid. Also, Iced for me, like I have to be honest, the fact that Iced has been around for 2 months and hasn't seen a change at all does sadden me quite a lot because it just kills. Like every game is the same against Nilfgaard and against Ice. You're like, right, I'm going to win round 1. I'm going to bleed round 2. I'm going to get that iced out. I'm probably going to go into round 3 down a card, but they're iced or their ball is gone, right? I mean, yeah, I think having like round 2 be something that's, we see a lot of the time in Gwent now is great. However, just having these massively polarizing cards for me is just a no-go. Also, we saw with Gravesh, responding to that, what's going to end up happening is these guys are going to be mulliganing the cards in anticipation of the bleed. And then it just comes down to RNG. Do you draw them in round 3 or do you not? If you draw them, you win. If you don't, you lose. And it's not really the most interesting gameplay, in my opinion.
So, do you think, like, kind of just in the terms of not like deleting like these high-end like swing cards, because I think developers are often incentivized to kind of go for more and more grandiose cards upon every release. I think that's just the nature of like card games, right? Like stuff, you just phase out stuff by adding more and more really like crazy, because you can't just do the same thing every patch. Then that's not like fun expansion. So I can kind of get the little bit of a dilemma here, right?
Yeah.
So like, would it like adding more consistency cards try to help a little bit alleviate this more like not drawing these certain cards, like more bronze thinnings, or like increasing the strength of bronze thinnings, or like would something along those lines be like a...
No, that's a good question. Do you know what? I actually read a Reddit post this morning from some random geezer. I think he got like 5 upvotes, but
I'm sorry, especially that's never a good start. I just read a Reddit post.
I thought it was a really cool idea. He was like, wonder if it's time that we get some more mulligans. I was like, that's kind of an interesting idea. Like a few more mulligans could go a long way. We have already seen like Hunting Pack and stuff like that. These cards got buffed and they see a lot more play. You obviously can't overdo it because ultimately these thinning cards aren't the most interesting. You don't want to just have everyone with riders and foglets and hunting packs, like a million of those in their deck. But
it kind of like limits deck building, right? Because you're super like they make them too good, then they're just auto include, and then you don't run them, and then it's like all the decks become sort of similar. But extra mulligans could be interesting. Like, what about cards that just it's just this static value, passive value of just add mulligans to each round or something like that would be kind of interesting to see.
What if, crazy idea, what if we tie the leaders to mulligans?
Were you
if
around at the
play a
beginning of
slightly
Homecoming,
bit more-
Bessie?
Yeah, I was.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, like, what an ancient time. I can't believe that was one of the things that like was the balance for leaders was mulligans.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, isn't it?
We've have come a long way, like in terms of development. A lot of stuff has like been flipped around since the beginning.
Yeah, I really didn't enjoy Homecoming when it was first released. I have to be honest. I was like, nah, this ain't for me. Seeing all the artifacts, the summoning circles, the spears, and the sihils.
Mm-hmm.
I'm certainly glad those days are gone.
Especially, I want to say though, I was actually like a specie deck builder type of like just a bunch of like weird stuff I would always just go and do.
Mm-hmm.
I made a deck. So like this was back when Airden gave immune to a unit, right? I was using Siri Dash before Siri Dash was cool. I would use both double series, and I would automatically like, have one in my hand round one just by like with Naglfar and stuff. So I would leader the Siri Dash for instant card advantage. They couldn't do anything about it, right? It's just like free flip the coin, and then you have like the broken neckers at the time and whatever. To force them out, you go into a 10-card round 3 with Dragon's Dream Novellin. And you just have like
Sounds an Did Novellin move the whole row then as well?
Yes.
Goodness.
You just have a solid full row, 3 damage to every card on the row finisher with Novellin. Like it was just like disgusting. Yeah, I miss
that. Does sound filth. Every time I talk to Ches, he somehow manages to mention Immune Slicer to me.
Well, it's either that or Vi, right? Vi.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He's always just vying to bring up Vi. You know, it's kind of a problem at this point. Kind of the same thing with Siri Dash. Don't mention Siri Dash around Chesy either.
Or Isbell.
Or Ale of the Ancestors. Or Hawker Smuggler.
Yeah, Hawker Smuggler. The only man to put 3 Hawker Smugglers in his deck. He just plays Banter as a third. He just wants that Queen Adalia and Sugoyatel as well, right? So you can play another.
Like he has. Have you told him about like double offerings to kind of like?
Oh, that's a great idea. Necromancy is another card he always mentions.
Yeah.
Oh, guys, what if we play Necromancy for a 4th Hawker Smuggler? Great idea. He's mainly using it for the mentors. Of course,
I don't know. He might even play like Renew for an extra one at this point. Like I don't know.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to this game. We're not too far away. On the official cast, they have been doing all sorts of little bits here and there while we've just been chatting away. We're not far away at all from finding out what both players have banned. I have got to be honest, chat. This is a biased cast, okay? I do not care. I really bloody want Pajabol to win. I'm going to be very, very gassed. For every single time Pajabol makes a play, I'm going to be happy. If Bart goes wrong, I'm going to be happy too. I want Bart to win, man.
Specie, you literally predicted that Bart and Forever YOLO was going to be in the final. Like,
yeah, but it doesn't. I only did it for the banter. Like, I was close with Forever YOLO. I said yesterday that Forever YOLO was going to go the whole way, right? So I had to stick with that.
God, and wait, who the heck is this Pajabol?
Oh, sorry, Alexander.
There you go. I'm not even gonna. Hey, do you want to play a little game here? Let's try and pronounce his last name and see who could possibly do it better.
Okay, you go first.
Oh no. Okay, I apologize, Alexander. Sarek.
Olskrek. Who was closest, chat? Any Polish aficionados in the chat?
Okay, almost Keksher. Okay, well, even worse. See, the thing is, you can't really trust anything Arabes says. It's always like a troll post. So I don't think we did a good job, Specie. We are amazing.
Sorry, my dad's just picking the best times to send me messages, about dinner, which is a high priority on the agenda apparently today. But never mind.
What are you having for dinner, Specie?
Roast dinner, which would be lovely. I'd very much enjoy to eat it. But of course, yesterday I had my burger delivered in a big shout from outside the door.
So far today, I've done like the classic like bachelor like alcoholic meal plan, where I'm eating the cold pizza on my floor from the night
Nice.
before. It's just kind of chilling on my.
Bans are in. Araka Swarm has been banned of Pyres. Keltalis for Bart. We kind of like double Forktail Kelly was obviously the thing that was making us think this Araka Swarm wouldn't be banned, but of course, if Payabol's banning this Kelly, then who cares about your double Forktail? So actually, it's both monster decks being banned. Ooh, Quill and Lance. We didn't see that one coming.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense though, right?
It does.
Like Arrakis should be pretty decent into most of the lineup. Since we kind of figured Kelly was getting banned, like that's not really much of a surprise. But I kind of wondering, what the stats of the bans are. It kind of seems like Monsters has been like very much a banned faction, which is not always the case.
Yeah, not sure who's going first in this one. I assume it's Bart. So, of course, with no Kel Tullis, he has Line Pockets, Blaze of Glory, Imprisonment. Line Pockets usually going to be a deck you'll want to take going second. So we're probably looking at Blaze of Glory or Nilfgaard being the deck that he will begin with. Definitely looking forward to seeing how this one pans out. Of course, Pajabol, he has his Line Pockets also. He also has Skellige. The key difference being that he has a Nature's Gift, whereas Bart has his Imprisonment. And of course, the decks are a little bit different. I would say the Syndicate Mirror, I would be favouring Bart due to the fact he has the Tavern Brawl and also the Horson. However, he also has the Horson Senior, who, with no Nilfgaard for Paya, that could be a little bit of a detrimental card, although usually he plays for pretty good value on deploy. And the first game is underway! We have Bart on the blue coin with Skellige, and we have Pajabol, who seems to be wanting to avoid the Syndicate Mirror. As mentioned, maybe Bart's deck is more tailored towards that mirror matchup, and has gone in with the Syndicate.
Yeah, and we see, we kind of talked about, Paya doing a little bit better job because we actually saw this exact matchup, right, with, Butt Play and Paya, or Alexander, rather. We saw this exact matchup, right? And Paya managed to create the smallest safecrackers I think I've ever seen. They were, I don't even think they could pick the lock, to be honest. I don't think they could reach the lock. They were so small. But we see him being a little bit more skilled here. We see the safecrackers and a poison right away in the round one hand. We see Furco as well as the Neuromancy to potentially complete a poison or use Furco, whichever one you're kind of feeling. So a little bit better of a hand state that we saw for Alexander as opposed to the previous matchup with Skellige.
But not respecting the payday by the looks of things does give Paya, of course, the option to take this payday. It would mean he loses some points on his Intimidate engines and his Safecrackers, but of course he's going to be losing points by playing into the ship anyway. The other thing we can use the Crystal Skull for, of course, is denying a poison. Paj does only have one poison in hand, but does have a follow-up potentially from Inero. How big is the Safecracker? It is a 7-point Safecracker being pinged down to 6 due to the red ship in the front row.
And my instincts tells me 7 is bigger than 4 and also bigger than 3, as it turns out. So
that is a good evaluation, I think.
I mean, that's about as good as my North American math can do for me, pointing out that fact.
So second engine developed for Bart, of course. If you look at his hand, he still has this Hercule, which is another engine he would like to develop. It is a point per turn, whereas the Hunter is 1 point every other turn. So the Hercule would have been more points in this round and would have been better to develop first, but of course it is more of a commitment as well. Of course, as a Skellige player, you're just looking not to lose on even to these Safecrackers. If you're Paya, you do have the option of taking the Justice from the Furco. And I think the Pig, I was going to say, could be amazing to use in the round 2 bleed, but instead what Paj is doing here, he's getting his Intimidate engine down on the board as early as possible. Of course, the Skewer Tooth is Intimidate 2, and it's going to give him extra points when he plays his Justice on this Intimidate. So really interesting to see this ordering. And now Bart commits his Hercule. In theory, he has wasted like half a point up until this moment by developing the Hunter before the Hercule.
Yeah, Herkia coming down now, kind of, rewarding Paya in terms of waiting on this payday. As the payday does come down to remove one of the larger engine threats that Bart Skellige list has at the moment. So quite a nice payday for him. Also buffing up these Intimidate engines. And Bart, right away, going into the Vabjorn, respecting this tempo, and going into Blood Eagle to potentially put down another engine or a Raider to kind of set up some graveyard. But going for the Berserker here, again, another engine, and still holding on to that stratagem, potentially to deny a poison.
Yeah, of course, Paj, 6 points down. Blood Eagle committed does mean Raiding Fleet might not be found, but we did. Of course, that means the Blood Eagle is going to be available for Bart in the next round. Hand is beginning to look a little bit awkward with cards like Ice and Hjalmar, which just aren't going to be doing much at all. On the other side, Paya has the Cleaver. If he wants to maximize the points, the Cleaver should come down before the Justice, just because, of course, Cleaver's going to have Intimidate 3 in that pocket in the middle. But of course, the Bloodthirst on his side of the board also means whatever he plays can be locked by Jengi. This ping of the Berserker did go Bart's way in that sense. Paj, not wanting to commit his Cleaver, of course, it would have been more points, but takes the Justice.
Yeah, Furko and Justice here get some good tempo down onto the board. This boat still pinging away. Bart still has some engines down on the board. As we see the second and final Safecracker hit the board. Paya doing a little bit of a look up to the heavens as he did the math for this play, or rather, should I say, the surface, more so from his his home submarine.
Mm-hmm.
Quickly we see the Jenga retort and denying this Knight of a Pig's value.
Paj, if he makes some commitments here, really could threaten to win this round even. Now that the lock is gone, the random ping hits the shield as well. Does take the assault, does continue to get him ahead due to this Berserker ping. And that's huge for Paj because it means he can answer the engine, the assault getting great value, and he's 6 coins away from getting out the boat as well. Bear Witcher cleans up the Intimidate engine. 7 points Paj needs for reach, of course. Shakedown is going to be profit 4, so he would need to use a couple of leader charges as well to get the boat out.
Yeah, a couple leader charges as well. He hasn't a Neuromancy for quite a bit of flexibility yet, too. Although in the round 2 bleed, obviously, it becomes a little bit more awkward. He can't really feasibly spend that out as freely as he would if he does. He saves it for this round 1. So, But, I mean, if it gets him the win on even, he's probably feeling pretty good there, right? Like, he wants to be able to bleed out this ice, and you can go for more of those value bleeds in those round 2 if you go for more of the win on even.
Could be the best time for Paj to take this Cleaver, knowing from our point of view that there is no Morkvarg available for Bart, and this Hjalmar is just not doing much at all, just for removal. This Cleaver could pose a real threat if Paj decides to commit it. What will he do? Roping out, goes for the poison, so Bart now has the option for the pass. Of course, 1 coin away from getting the boat out. The shakedown here will play for 4 points plus the boat, which makes 7. So Paj does take the round with full coin carryover, thinning the boat. Cleaver first Anero in hand. On the other side, Bart has the ice ready. Hjalmar, a little bit of development, and has committed his first Blood Eagle.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there was like a more of a decision to potentially play the Cleaver. Again, it's quite committal. But as like you said, the Hjalmar is not really super developed at that point. The Morkvarg, which now we see Bart drawing into. Now that's just a perfect answer for this Cleaver, and such a good card for Skellige in this matchup as it just removes the spender. There's a lot of random damage in the meta as well. Cleaver getting that armor, so Morkvarg just kind of chewing through the armor and the Cleaver as a whole, just kind of giving more value to that random damage that Skellige has so much of.
Of course, what Cleaver can do with the 4 coin to carry over, Cleaver can be used proactively, spending twice with the Cleaver, setting up the Crown Splitter sandwich. That is probably going to be the line that Paj takes here, and it'll be swiftly responded to by the Morkvarg. Of course, not shootable Morkvarg anymore, but still just a great card for this Skellige deck, particularly with Cleaver being around.
Crown Splitter sandwich sounds like the most gotchy sandwich ever, and I don't know. Do you think are you reconsidering your plans, your dinner plans tonight, and possibly going for like Crown Splitter sandwiches?
Yeah, that would be nice actually. Get one from Subway and get the foot-long crown splitter sandwich. There is the Mortvog coming in. Now, in this position, Paj is probably going to be losing this round no matter what happens because Iced is quite a scary dude. However, and this is one of those moments, this Prophet 8 Siggy is looking quite sad, has to be said, forcing a leader charge compared to normal. But all that Paj is really trying to do is getting this Iced out of there, has the drill pocket set up, and this is what Siggy's so good for as well. You've got the Intimidate engine down, but you've just got that quick snap of 9 coins ready to go for the drill, and drill looking somewhat tempting here.
Well, he's also got the flexible Neuromancy too, right? Like you could think possibly about like Philippa is a way to spend down. You know, you have Double Jackal sitting in deck as a way to spend down. Also, there's just kind of going Kurt as well for like a potential bounty setup as well, just kind of for that little bit of a stall play. So Paya with quite a few options with this first Neuromancy here.
Does look like you're right on the Philippa play. Kind of too difficult to turn this down. Of course, you're turning each coin into 2 points of swing while also stealing the 2 points of damage, netting 4 points. So a big point swing. The best way you're going to be able to spend coins, even with the option of a drill. Paj as well does have the dip in the Pontar, which is going to put him to a nice 8 coins. The drill then coming in at the perfect amount of 9 coins of profit. 9 coins in the bank, and we'll just be able to clean up whatever is left. Bart's Graveyard has an 8 strength Bear Witcher as the Hjalmar target.
Yeah, pretty good at Hjalmar target overall, and we'll see if this Raider ends up continuing to live here. That's that's what you want to see for your Philippa. I mean, we talk so much about this unconditional 21 for 10, but I mean, this is pretty good value as well. Getting that extra 2 damage on your steal for your coins.
Quite a big moment here with Bart committing his second Blood Eagle. Now, this is the downside of committing that Blood Eagle in round 1. While it doesn't look too bad, now he has no guaranteed access for Harold in round 3 and is going to be solely relying on those top decks.
Look at this dip. This dip is... Oh my God, you're not just taking a dip with this dip, you're getting fully wet. You grab your pair of wellies because you're getting soaked.
Yeah. Bart is absolutely knee deep in the Pontar here.
Knee deep. I mean, something Chat's mother is very familiar with.
Like, this is just such an important moment in this game. The fact that Bart uses his second Echo card just to get dipped, perfectly just giving Paj the play. He wanted to make this play anyway, this dip, but giving the dip great value when instead like an Invader or something like that would have given a lot less value. So this round, 2 bleed going fantastically. Also, let's not forget about the Bloodthirst situation. There is only 1 card that's been damaged down. So this dip removal, absolutely humongous here. Philippa on the Raider, and then the dip is just huge for Paj.
Like, we talked about Subway earlier, but really we should have been talking about Dairy Queen as the restaurant of choice. Bart getting dipped like a cone there, I don't know if that reference translates as much outside the US. Do you have Dairy Queen?
No.
Ah, shit. Well, you know what? Dipped like a French dip. That's a sandwich. I don't know if Subway has those, but
There we go. The drill coming in. Of course, not being able to completely spend as there's nothing else on the board. And this is a big moment. 24-point gap. Pajabol having 3 coins in the bank. Only one of those will carry over, of course. And the Jacques in hand as well as his Neuromancy. Here comes the Ice. The Bloodthirst has been set up. He draws here into the War of Clans, but does have the Invader as a decent little discard target. And then Jutta is going to be the card of choice to remove the drill. Not perfect, but still a nice 17 points. Gets him ahead. Pajabol has the Jacques, has 3 coins in the bank. This War of Clans is going to be targeted on a Brockvar Hunter, which is going to be played for 5 plus the 2, so a 7-point War of Clans, whereas the Hjalmar is 11 points. So Bart has 18 points in total in his hand, and it's 3 points to the good. Pajabol, not giving up. He could try and save this Jacques to accompany his Gord for a short round 3, but he wants the cards from Bart. How much will he spend?
Yeah, I mean, possibly trying to get out that Herald there, or at the very least saying, hey, maybe you don't have the points here. So trying to either get him to commit that Herald, in which Bart doesn't have much left outside of that, and just kind of saying, hey, I know my Gord has the dwarf tag, but he's quite a big boy, and I think he's enough here in the short round 3.
Pajabol just doing the maths. And he doesn't spend. He manages to preserve those 5 leader charges. And with Fialmor just having a Bear Witcher, it is just 11 points, and he is going to be forced to play both of his cards. And we are going to be going into a short round 3. Harold, not guaranteed for Bart, whereas Gord is nailed on for Paya, as he has not used a Neuromancy twice. That this commitment of the Echo card in round 1 for Bart could prove to be huge. Top decks are going to be really important to keep an eye on here.
Yeah, will Bart be able to find his Herald here? That's going to be the key card to look out for in these round 3 draws here. You know, he has 2 mulligans, 8 cards in deck, is able to see a lot of the deck. But I mean, we seen Gravish miss out on this the other day. So like,
finds a Bear Witcher, finds a Great Sword. The 3rd card is a ship. I do believe his raiding fleet is still available, so that's a mulligan. Finds the Harold. Big moment in this series. On the other side, Payabol's Swindle looking like a complete and utter brick here. But actually ditches the Kurt, needs to find a Spender or the Gord. Not what you want to see if you're Paj, but you can be uninteractive, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. And you know, I've watched Spiro's video on the value of uninteractivity. So let's see if the value of uninteractivity is enough here for Mr. Alexander.
Yeah, because this Bear Witcher suddenly is just a 5-point card, and this Marauder just a 3. The Harold has been turned into just a 11-point card, and Paj has the option of, instead of taking this Gord, can just go for a wholesome Sea Jackal. He's going to get the ship out here, and he needs 16 points. He has the coins in the bank. The Gord is not big enough, but you know what might just be big enough?
4 provision bronze, unconditional, like 20-point card here, by the way. Like Sea Jackal is actually, you know, it's amazing to see this card still just potentially outvalue. I mean, that's the thing about Syndicate, right? Like, you just have coins in the bank. Like,
masterfully executed from Pajabol, not even committing these last 2 spends. It looked like the Swindle was a brick. It looked like the Kurt was there to stay, but Pajabol showing the value of uninteractivity. He's been watching those Spyro videos. He knows what he's doing, mate, and takes the round and the game 2-1.
If there's anything we learned here, Chad, it's to go and watch those Spyro videos on YouTube. And you know what? You can be an open winner too.
That was a really, really fun little series. Despite finding the Harold, still wasn't enough for Bart. Really, really well played from Pajabol. And there you just see the way to be iced, which is get round control, bleed the iced out, except that you're probably not going to be taking the 2-0. He managed to keep his card, which was really, really important. If Bart had gained his card advantage back in round 2, then this line of play from Paya, where he just stayed uninteractive, would not have been a valuable strategy. So this round 2 really was the deciding factor. The fact that Paj got that round control in round 1 just by a point. He took all that carryover, made the Crown Splitter sandwich, and cleaned up. And now we've got a very familiar-looking matchup, except now it's Bart as Syndicate and Pajabol as Blaze of Glory. Big moment.
I wonder how many times we've seen this matchup, this tournament, with Skellige just kind of going right in on this blue coin. I know Line Pockets is like this deck that very much wants to abuse red coin. It's one of the most threatening red coin decks in the game right now. So like, yeah, do you feel like So what do you think is Paya's main strategy here? Is he just going to try the strategy where it's just like, I'm going to try and get out quick and just go and defend the bleed, kind of like what most other people have done in this matchup?
Well, like the Crystal Skull is going to be important because it's the only time Horson is going to get any points, right?
Yeah.
Obviously developing engines early on and just seeing what he can do. But we've just seen how like this bleed in round 2 can not work out for you. Big moment though, as Bart here has a 5-point safecracker, but he's bricked his justice. He has the second safecracker in hand, and that is not what you want to see if your name is Bartunia.
A lot worse hand, obviously, coming out from Bart here. Again, Bart trying to top Paya in terms of full-on halfling safecrackers, kind of living up to its name here. Only a 4-point safecracker. That's just not what you want to see. 5-point really, but because the boat, right? but it's not something you want to see. It's not super threatening on this coin. And like once Paya doesn't seem Justice come down next turn, do you think he just kind of ramps up the round a little bit? Does he just start to smell blood in these Skellige waters?
Ooh, a really interesting play here from Paya. What he's doing is he's trying to brick Bart's Justice by removing that Safecracker. Now, this is a really ballsy play from Paya. Essentially, this punishes Bart if he has Justice in hand and is not relying on Furco into Justice. However, if Bart has Furco into Justice, Furco would be the Safecracker on the board. The Crown Spitter, I beg your pardon. However, of course, we know that Bart has done Paya's job for him as he's already got his own Safecracker.
I was gonna say, even though like this line, like I mean, we obviously see Bart's hand, like it's obviously it was already bricked to begin with, but like it still removes that engine off the board. You still now don't have to deal with that couple of 2-3 extra points that the Safecracker is gonna get. So either way, like it's obviously still really nice to remove this off the board, but obviously even more nice if it potentially bricks a Justice in Alexander's eyes.
Yeah, Bart up against it here. This is a cop-out play. Alarm bells ringing if your name is Pajabol. You see this swindle and you think, hold on, son. I've pulled this off, mate. I've bricked your Justice. I'm a genius. He's going to be giving himself a big metaphorical pat on the back here. He thinks his game plan to break Bart's Justice has worked. He's now thinking that Bart is relying on Furco, just Justice from hand. Of course, we know that's not the case. And the swindle, as Laraco correctly, wholesomely points out, did low roll and get the least amount of profit possible.
So there's also the thing here, right? Like, Paya also is less worried and is able to play a lot safer with this stratagem. Kind of important to point out in the deck list. The value of having a card like Payday, right? Like, granted, Bart didn't play around it last game, but like, Paya can just save this stratagem to continuously play around poisons if there were something he'd be afraid of in this round. So likely going to hold on to this for a little bit here. And, he has quite a playable hand as well. Like you look at his hand and like Herald is the only card that guaranteed you don't want to play this round.
Yeah. And I mean, if we having just seen the previous matchup, we saw the key to success in Pajabol's victory as the Syndicate player was winning round 1 with his Safecrackers and his Justice, and then bleeding the Iced Out round 2, and then winning the short round 3. Bart is not doing this as smoothly due to the fact that his Safecrackers are in fact brick. So Pajabol still really wanting this round control. He's so far developed his ship, his first hunter. The other hunter in hand seems like the obvious commitment here, but instead takes it a little bit slower. He's feeling confident in where this round is going and doesn't feel the need to commit this hunter as an engine, but instead develops his graveyard with I think it's called a warrior, right? The on-crate warrior.
Yeah, developing in this graveyard is developing this card into the graveyard is definitely something you want to do, right? Able to, with your War of Clans, deal 3 damage as removal. And Paya is a little bit more incentivized to develop a graveyard, as his deck does run the double War of Clans, not something we're super used to seeing in Skellige. War of Clans, definitely a very, very strong card. But you typically don't see people run 2 of them, as it can be kind of awkward in round 1 situations. You just have more cards that you want to mulligan away. So obviously not being a problem for Paya here, and probably going to pay off for a little bit in the long run here.
Big moment of intel as well, as Paya previously thought, he'd big brained it and he'd bricked Bart's Justice as Bart didn't have access to Furco. Now he sees the Furco, knowing Pajabol and his skill, he should be able to make the read that in fact there is a Safecracker in Bart's hand, because this play otherwise makes no sense. Like the ordering of Bart's plays, the only reason Bart wouldn't have gone Justice from Furco is if he has the Safecracker in hand. So this is a big amount of intel that Pajabol will most likely gain from this. Bear Witcher Adrenaline has been activated. Hunter's still an option to develop. He is going to want round control, but he takes the pass. Surprised to see the pass. However, there's no easy way out for Bart without a little bit of commitment, although this Horson is not going to be doing much later on. Not sure about this pass from Paya. Bart takes it, but doesn't have maximum carryover. Had to spend once with the Jackal, and that is going to mean if he wants to spend with Cleaver for the Safecracker pocket, the Safecracker sandwich, he is going to have to invest in the Judge.
Yeah, I
have a
mean,
look at top decks.
so when you're winding on down, obviously, typically, with Gwent in general, you wind down, and then the hand starts to get more and more gold heavy as people are trying to play the game of not overcommitting, right? So Paya, I guess, was just a little bit worried about the state of his hand, and if Bart starts to just kind of just slam down points randomly, he might be in a little bit of trouble of losing on even. As he doesn't have like the super committal cards like Iced and Herald in the end of his hand, but also he's starting to more and more lack points and not being able to create that point separation.
Yeah, it looked like Bart was really up against it. But now you look at his hand, he has the cleaver. He's going to use the leader charge to get the Safecracker sandwich. Morkvarg is available to Pajabol, of course. Had to draw that card, not shooterable. But now Bart has the Justice. And okay, look, the Safecracker is only at 3 strength. But you still can't complain too much. The Horson Senior looking a little bit awkward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, so we got to get this. If you're Paya, you got to get this. Start to think about getting this Dunka down a little bit as well. The only cards to really kind of deal with that specifically here are this Bloody Good Fun, Tunnel Drill, and Philippa here as well. So going to try and play around that, potentially utilizing its order ability to kind of turn off the engine. So like obviously it makes it less of ideal Philippa target there.
Justice does now come in. And going to be giving that intel to Pajabol that there's no crimes in the hand of Bart. This Gord definitely not the most ideal of cards in this situation. And just a 3-point Safecracker. That is going to be a very nice target for Pajabol to try and set up some Bloodthirst. Mm-hmm. Also gives Paya that intel that Intimidate engines are not going to be much of a threat. Of course, Bart does have the option of going in Neuromancy for a crime. The other things he's though going to be looking for from this Neuromancy is a certain drill.
Well, so here's the thing. Like, you see Safecracker come down. It's a very strong card, but it also gives a lot of information to the opponent, right? Paya can start to suss out the ideal hand based on no crimes in hand right now. So he can start to plan out for Bart's ideal hand and what he's going to be able to beat. So, and he does decide to go down and get this raiding fleet down. Going to bleed this Cleaver's Muscle, again, losing 1 point on the raiding fleet. But, if the round goes all the way in. But he also wants to create Bloodthirst, so this is a card that will never potentially get buffed up, and this Halfling could actually get a potential buff, as there isn't a Nero in Bart's hand right now.
Yeah, Bart has the decision now with Kurt if he wants to use it as a Purify, which would, of course, remove the shield as well. Mm-hmm. Or could, of course, use it offensively for that extra value. Does also have the possibility of using some leader charges and Philippa, of course. The earlier you Philippa this boat, the better it's going to be quite significantly, because you're going to take less damage from it, and you're also going to be threatening to damage your opponent with the boat. And that does look like it is the line Bart will take, having to invest some leader charges for that. And his hand is quite coin-starved. Okay, It's great that he's got this Crown Splitter sandwich in the front row, but what does it matter if you've only got 2 bloody coins, mate?
I mean, so this Horson is actually going to be looking like it could be okay. It could deny some Bloodthirst, right? Again, you're not going to get that Intimidate value, but you could turn off this bleeding potentially, as realistically, this Cleaver Muscle is essentially a 2 damaged unit. So, like, this Horson could take the obviously the non-tribute to transform this to maintain a little bit of your value and try and deny some of this Iced's Bloodthirst, which is something you're very much looking to do in this matchup.
Yeah, it's very cool to see the different ways you can use this senior in the current meta. Obviously, mainly aimed at Nilfgaard, but denying Bloodthirst going to be really, really valuable. Hercule coming in, no longer the threat of Philippa, and of course, she's got armor, so that's not going to happen. This ping, just tempting in the Horson even more, mate.
Oh, this Horson is getting highlighted immediately. This is looking like a very juicy senior coming down here to transform this dwarf into a nice little cut-up lackey here. Probably taller than the dwarf, though, I'd suppose.
There is a downside to this play, though, which is Pajabol here does have the adrenaline activated on his Bear Witcher, so he can kill this Safecracker in the front row, and that means that the Crown Splitter sandwiches are no more. But of course, we know Bart is going to have to go in Neuromancy for the Tunnel Drill, and with just 2 coins, it's not a great play anyway. I would expect, though, Paya to take the Bear Witcher, but decides it's not the immediate threat and wants to try and set up that Bloodthirst. A nice ping from Herkia on the cut up Lackey. One of my favorite card arts in the game, by the way, on the cut up Lackey.
See, mine are all the clown cards. Like I very much love the what is it? What's that clown card you like to play? Freak Show. Freak Show. That's my ideal card art right there. Put on the clown makeup, start screaming. Speci. Yep, you're muted, Speci.
I'm muted. That's unfortunate. Don't know how that one's happened. I think it's because I was trying to get aggressive in the chat. It baited me into muting myself. Very professional.
I mean, I'm drunk again, so like I don't know. We talk about professional here, but
it's a 21-point gap. Paya, remember, does not have Iced in hand. Is going to have to get the Blood Eagle to set it up while also having Bloodthirst. So not looking too hot for Alexander here, despite the first round going his way and Bart's hand looking a little bit awkward. There we go with the Bear Witcher, setting up that 2-strength target for his Blood Eagle to find the ice. He can then use the Raider on Philippa or on the Safecracker to set up the Bloodthirst 2 as well. So very nicely played from Alexander here. Not Tailbot. Bart has the option of Kurt, who's not doing much, but takes the pass.
Yeah, you have to think Alexander has done the math here. On possibly getting out of this round, either saving the leader or, because I wonder if this iced, going into this this Bloodthirst is just potentially enough here. I've not done any math myself.
It's got to be right. Iced is just ridiculous amount of points. So you can use the Raider on the Philippa or on the Safecracker. Blood Eagle, the 2-strength ship. Iced would come in, and then of course you get the 7 removal plus the 12 from Jutta. As well as then the card in hand.
I was wondering if he did enough math to potentially save, because I've seen it a couple times saving the leader ability while it's committing the ice, but it looks like looks like he's deciding to potentially keep the iced and the leader ability going into this round 3, just deciding to go a card down instead, really valuing the power play of iced over card advantage, which is, sometimes we've seen this in Gwent, right? Just kind of going and giving up that last card just to have such a massive power play that the card doesn't even matter.
But the downside of this line of play for Paya, we've already seen the value of uninteractivity that Syndicate can do with their 9-coin bank. So this leader for Paj is just not going to be doing too much. Seeing as Bart has double last say, of course, doesn't have access to this Blood Eagle. He did commit it in round 1. So he's going to be relying on the top decks, finds the Jutta, not what he's looking for, finds the Herald, that's a great start. Now he's going to be looking for that iced baby. There it is, Sunshine.
Oh, the draws for Paya here are absolutely on point.
These invaders are also looking really, really good. They are veiled, and we can see 2 poisons in Bart's hand. Also, the Herald has the veil. The Tunnel Drill's not doing much for Bart either. This is going to be a really, really interesting way to go. And if we look at Payabol's deck, he's missed out on Totem. He's missed out on Kadooch and Double War of Clans. So still some big misses, but at least these invaders are proactive points compared to something like a Berserker, which would just be playing as like a flat 6.
Yeah, and look at all these veiled units. So quite good for Paya here. So Bart decides to go, Paya's starting off with the Herald into Raider here, and we see the Fistex, potentially getting their value to play a little bit interactive. Again, like you said, though, invaders, just some good proactivity. So still some points on the board for Paya here.
Yeah, it looks like it could have been a little bit of a misplay from Paya here. He's valued his Herald development before playing these veiled cards, maybe just missing the fact that the double poison could have been a possibility for Bart, sort of playing into his hands, because actually getting this Herald down early has had no impact at all, as Bart can stay uninteractive. But Bart does have a real issue that the main spender in his hand is a Tunnel Drill, which is only going to be spending It's going to be doing 1 damage for every 2 coins, unless he can get this Herald Gourd down next to it. This poison value, though, could prove to be huge. If Bart didn't have the poison on the Raider, might have been forced to take a heat wave or something like that off of his Aneromancy and just made his sequencing a little bit awkward, and he would have just been waiting for that poison. But as he has the poison target, it makes his hand play a lot less awkwardly, and Pajabol does now have the ship, which can be pinged down, but Bloodthirst is not going to be a possibility on this ice unless Harold comes in clutch. I'm not sure how that interaction works.
It doesn't.
Exactly.
It doesn't.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was kind of curious about this at first too, because I was like, oh, does like the Herald, but no,
there's bad news as well. The ice top decks are guaranteed to be specials or Jutta. He's only got artifacts and specials. So actually this Bloodthirst, not super relevant. The Jutta is going to be the leader target, and of course she is still going to come out.
And quite the point gap. We have 29 points for Bart to make up here with just the Gourd and the Tunnel Drill. Like, as you said, can set up this Crown Splitter to get at least a little bit of a decent spend. Does get the boat out again. This is going to be real close.
Yep, the Tunnel Drill going to come in. Has an abundance of coins to spend. It can be clicked 5 times, which is 10 extra points. A 15-point final play for Bart with the Tunnel Drill. BMing by putting it... Wait, what? He put it in the front row instead of next to the back row.
Oh, no.
An absolute stinker, mate.
Mate.
Oh, no. I thought it was advanced BM, but he's just completely collapsed on the biggest stage.
Oh, no.
What a nightmare for Bart.
He would have made this up, too. Oh, no.
The biggest throw in the history of Gwent esports right there.
Oh, no. No way, man.
Unbelievable scenes. That was so funny. Poor Bart, though. You have to feel really bad for him. The guy played it so well. That is just the moment to do the Green Knight rope. Take your bloody time, mate. That is just... He's got to be so gutted. And Pajabol has got to be loving life after seeing that. Yeah. He's going to be completely stunned. My heart goes out to Bart on that one. But what a great moment. Wow.
What a great moment for us, right?
I mean, it was still, it was hype, right?
Well, because like there's so many things in Gwent where it comes down, like you kind of know what's going to happen for the most part. Like, you're like, okay, so Bart is able to make it out of this, and then like, oh no, like, I mean,
what a stinker.
Yeah.
So just for those that weren't sure, all Bart had to do was place his Tunnel Drill in the back row to the left or to the right of Gourd. It didn't matter which. He just had to not play it in the front row, and that would have meant that his Tunnel Drill was dealing 1 damage more per coin spent. However, he didn't put it next to Gourd. The drill was spending 2 coins to deal just 1 damage, and that meant that he didn't have the juice. Bart snatching defeat from the jaws of victory there.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know. You know, Jagaris and Spiro talked a lot about this strategy where you get to choose the coin for the rest of the games now. So I don't know. Maybe he's just doing some ultimate 5-head strategy where he's like, Paya's going to be, I just misplayed pretty hard, and Paya's going to be like, might get a little bit lax, and now you get to choose the coin. I don't know, man. Like, maybe it's just the ultimate strategy.
Chat, that was a moment right there. We move on. Paya is somehow 2-0 up in the series. It looked like Bart should have tied that up 1-1. Of course, Pajabol coming out on top in the Syndicate and Skellige matchup twice. He now has his Nature's Gift deck, and he has to do the job with it. Bart has all 3 decks remaining, and he's got to be feeling a little bit perplexed about what has just happened. Can you hear that? I'll have to mute my mic, I think.
You making some Crown Splitter sandwiches?
Got an alarm going off. Perfect.
A little bit of Crown Splitter sandwiches in the microwave.
Can you hear it?
Yeah.
I'll mute my mic.
That's all right. Kind of going into this game now, Paya has has now 3 shots to get this gift through here. And Bart taking the Syndicate on this blue coin, something that we don't typically see in terms of the Syndicate. I feel like almost all the Syndicate matches we've watched so far have been, for the most part, on this red coin. If you're not kind of considering the mirror where it had to be chosen on. So Paya right away has ideally what you'd want to see with the gift, the no Ithne in the hand round 1, has a bit of the consistency in Falve, and also has this Dunka to come down right away. Unfortunately getting slapped down by the Bloody Good Fun. Dunka left to spatter the Broccolon Forest with a pool of red, and my colorblind ass ain't going to be able to see anything. You put greens and reds together, and it's just a big mess for me. But Dunka getting removed right away.
Yeah, what I want to see from Bart now is I want to just see him getting really into game mode. He's just had a complete nightmare. He should be in a much more favorable position than he is, but he just has to get over it and accept that what's gone wrong. He's probably feeling quite embarrassed about what's happened. Obviously, he's not been at many opens before. And he really does just need to try and play his game here and just get over that monumental mistake and pull it back. This would be some story now for Bart if he could pull it back from this position.
So I think, again, that's like something that a lot of people, especially people in chat, don't get. Like, we kind of talk about as streamers, right? Like playing on stream in front of people. Like, we talk about, I'm gonna actually climb and I'm just gonna go play off stream. There is a big psychological factor with playing in front of this large group of people. So that is definitely something to consider.
Yeah, we also saw Bart yesterday having a little bit of a stinker with his Vigo. He could have taken the dogs, I believe, and took a 1-strength sergeant, and then he roped out with the leader and used double charge on the Roderick or something. It went all a little bit wrong for him. So he wasn't punished for that in the end. But yeah, just what a time to make a mistake. You just have one card left in hand.
And if anyone can understand throwing live on stream, it's you, Spessy.
True.
Right?
This is very true. Misclicks are easily done, man.
Oh yeah, no, I know, man. I had a mouse that would double click randomly for about half a year, and you can imagine my anxiety playing Syndicate.
Yeah, just don't play Maddock and buff him with an emissary, because that's what I did. I was in the Dandelion show, I had Maddock down on the board, buffed it with an emissary, and then suddenly my Maddock killed itself.
Ugh.
Here we are with how many points is that? 19-point gap. In this one, Bart ahead, looking to secure round control with Syndicate going first. He has got the safe cracker in hand, which is, of course, is another brick. Well, he can play it, but it would mean that his Justice is not playable later on. Pajabol hasn't got too much in the way of carryover. A couple of points on Figus, 1 point on Fauve. Does have the Hammer Dryad down on the board, though, so this Dryad's Caress is going to offer a couple of points worth of Symbiosis. But then, of course, it's getting that extra Vitality, which is going to be worth 6 points alone. And Bart takes the pass.
I do really like this Caress from Paya, right? Like, it just plays for a lot of value. It's like, oh, hey, your main answer to deal with that is like a Heat Wave or something more committal. I'm going to play this here. It also sets up my graveyard to potentially give this Forest Protector extra options, right? Like, you could potentially choose a Caress later on. We do see Fistex in Bart's hand, so, Paya playing a little bit of the reach game here.
Yeah, so Pajabol, of course, this Vitality is going to be worth 4 points. So it does need an 11-point play to do it. Looking at his hand, Figus would not be enough. The Forest Protector does have a Rebuke available to him. Figus plus a Leader Charge will do it, I believe, deciding to keep the rest of his cards. Instead, there goes the Leader Charge, and he does get there just about by 1 point, which is always nice, but did commit a Leader Charge to do it. And also the Figus is a pretty bloody good card. Although with Kurt in Bart's hand doesn't become as good. But it's going to allow Bart to use Bounty, but I guess Bounty can be purified. So seems like a reasonable decision from Paya. Will Bart keep this Kurt in hand now that Defender is gone? Both players unhappy with the state of their hands.
I mean, drawing into the fist deck, so in most cases you would be like, oh, I got my poison completion. But now you're kind of just hoping that, Paya doesn't have the caresses. This is something that like Gift does so well against these poison factions like Nilfgaard and Syndicate, right? Like these fist decks just become basically with this leader, 5 coins of profit, right? Like that's about it. Like we see double caress in Paya's hand. So these fist decks just aren't looking stellar.
I mean, like, Pajabol, his hand is not looking too hot, but let's just take a moment to realize the situation here. The amount of gold cards left in Bart's deck is unbelievable. In his deck, there is a Horson, there is an Aniromancy, a Heatwave, a Cleaver, a Tavern Brawl, a Horson Jr., and a Tunnel Drill.
Especially, look at this gift. Or not this gift, but look at this. Oh, what happened? Oh, my stream just died, and now I have to watch an ad. But look at this Crown Splitter issue.
Yeah,
with this Justice, like
yeah. In order to get the Justice working to pull the Cleaver's muscle, he's going to have a Crown Splitter down first. The only Crown Splitter available to him is going to be Harold Gord. This is going to be worth 4 points on the poison because Pajabol isn't going to be able to click the Pyrotech, but of course can take the Dryad's Caress here. He won't get the Vitality because he doesn't have any Dryads down on the board, but Pajabol deciding instead to go for the Forve, being able to take the Naping Shaper. Naping Shaper has the option of the Veil, and that is going to completely shut down the poison.
Again, there's just so many good ways for Nature's Gift just to delete these poisons. So yeah, the Naping Shaper, I'm starting to get the hang of that one. But actually, instead to not go for the I guess playing around the Heat Wave a little bit there is kind of what he was trying to do.
Yeah, a little bit controversial. And there we go, Bartunya investing the leader charges, getting that juicy Philippa, mate. That is a juicer of a Philippa, gaining the vitality of his own. And now Paya does take the caress on the Pyrotech, which of course removes the poison, but isn't going to gain the vitality. Clicks the Pyrotech, hits the Philippa. Bart now has a poison, which is just coins. And
I gotta say,
has the Sea Jackal as a suspender.
I gotta say that Falve decision was so good for Bart, right? Like it denies the Dryad tag as well on the board for this caress. Like it just such a good situation for Paya initially, but then going into that choice, there just didn't end up paying off in terms of Bart's hand. Just being rewarded for this Philippa by so much. We got the unconditional. What was it? 24 for 10 this time.
Oh, it was an outrageous amount of points. This Forve was 13 points, right? So it's actually 29 points.
But also, like, look at Bart's hand. Still the Crown Splitter issue, and no way to really deal with this Gezros. And the nice thing about Pauly, he can push him to the front row, so you're still able to get value.
Yeah, and a Forest Protector finisher is definitely not the worst thing. Of course, doesn't have a card that he can be hitting that death blow with. Sea Jackal, the only spender for Bart, and this Kurt looking just like a solid 6 points card. Not doing much else here, although could be played as a 7 to deny 1 vitality from Payabol's leader. What an interesting round we have here. The Gord prematurely coming down, and that is because it is the only safecracker available to Bart, which opens up this Justice as a play. Pajabol,
yeah, I mean,
already deciding that he's going for this poorly. Will he go for the play you mentioned? He actually moves the Gord to the front instead. Not sure about that one.
Well, okay, so like moving the Gord to the front instead an extra point because he's planning on playing this Force Protector in that case then, right? Like he's planning on playing this out too, so then, Gezros does end up getting that extra point, I suppose. It also... But like there's a bit of a point gap here, so let's see what Paya decides to do. Gonna get some points from Gezros. Also, the symbiosis value on this Treant, if it goes back row, gives a little bit more point value to Gezros as well. But I don't know, with coins in the bank for Bart, it's hard to see. I guess he does go for it here.
Paya slamming the cards. Let's not forget Gezros is going to go in the back row. Have a big moment to look.
50.
Where will the Treant spawn, Quill? Oh, it spawns the back row. That's going to be an extra point. Armor goes on Gezros. Will we see any leader charges committed from Pajabol? We don't. Gezros is going to buff this back row. Let's not forget it's going to do 1 damage to the Gord in front as well.
So he got two
with the
two
Sea
extra.
Jackal.
he got 2 extra points then on this poly, moving Gwent to the front row.
Mm-hmm. Bart has the Sea Jackal. Gezra is only going to be moving one more time due to the fact that the game is going to end. But the Sea Jackal, 1 click, 2 click, 3 click. And the Gezra is going to hit the Cleaver's muscle in the front, which is armored, and then will not move to the back. So Bart is just about able to take it. And the Philippa here, surely the deciding factor. Just an unbelievable Philippa play from Bart. And Pajabol got to be really unhappy that he gave up his 9 strength vitality unit there. Let's look at the draws.
So you look at the draws as well, and like Bart has a lot of golds left in deck, but he can only fit a certain amount in this hand. So it's going to be about the value of these golds overall. Just you know, you can't just value the amount of golds in deck, right? Because you can only fit a little bit in this hand. So like Paya drawing what seems like the nuts here, going into this final round, and we see just a very sad Horson Senior, not really seeing that insane value you'd expect out of wanting to slot this into these line pockets list.
And it's just unbelievable that Bart has managed to miss both his Aneromancy and his Cleaver, the real card you're looking for in this situation. He does have the Heat Wave. The Horson here is going to find value on the fact that Ethne has been boosted as well. And this is the only way he can spend coins with this Horson. But he just doesn't have enough. He's 1 coin short. And that is huge, because if he had that extra coin, he could bounty up one of these 2s, gain himself some more coins as well. Pajabol has the Call of the Forest, going to be looking at Gord as the main target, of course, and the Naping Shaper, all proccing the Vitality, this final evolution of Ethne.
I mean, this Naping Shaper is coming in for a lot of points. Obviously, Call trading up onto this Heat Wave here, because again, we have 4 Symbiosis essentially on this board right now. We got the 1 passive guaranteed by leader, as well as this Ithne, and 2 other Dryads on the board as well. So Paya, definitely a lot of points in this hand right now.
Bart wants to try and hold on to this Heat Wave as well for the Gord, if at all possible. So you expect that he can use his Kurt here to deny the Vitality and then Heat Wave the Gord. But this Symbiosis value, all those extra points here for Pajabol. Kurt is going to play as a 7, but the Heat Wave is going to be trading with Gord, and with the Vitality, the Symbiosis down on the board, Pajabol gets the 3-0 over Bart, and Bart is never going to forget this moment. He put his Tunnel Drill in the wrong row, and he's now been 3-0'd by the world champ. And we have Tailbot versus Pajabol as Gwent Open 1 final. What a bloody moment that was.
Oh my, like, I'm not going to say the whole series, like, but I mean, could have had more of a chance, right? Like, obviously that misplay is absolutely huge, and, you know, nerves definitely having a lot to play into that. You see, hey, I'm going to win this game. I'm going to make it through this one. And then just like, just the simple mistake of just a row placement on your card, literally just placing it anywhere on the back row, and it's fine. You know, you hate to see that, you know, but
yeah, commiserations to Bart. Obviously, as a friend of mine, really happy to see the world champ in the final. And we have got Tailbot versus Paya. What a final. I don't think you could really have asked for a better final. The 2 favourites, either side of the bracket, I think it's fair to say, making their way through. This is the first time, we saw 3-1 against Gravesh, but it's been a tournament of 3-2s, Pajabol being the man that's just on a bit of a rampage, of course. you have to mention the Bart Tunnel Drill play. It really does make all the difference, because, of course, if Bart won that game, he would have already had his Syndicate through, and he wouldn't have had to have tried this Syndicate versus Gift matchup. It would have been a very different series indeed. And Bart has worked so hard to get to this point, but it's just not going to be enough.